How's it going, everyone? My name is True Underdog, and we are just one day away from the Kombat Pack reveal trailer. Feels like it's been forever, but we finally get to see it coming tomorrow, very early in the day. Unfortunately, so early that I'm not going to get to see it because I will be at work, but rest assured, there will be a full breakdown once I get home. Just gotta get off work, and then I'm getting to it right away. However, today I wanted to talk about the final characters who have yet to be revealed. Now, there are some rumors and some leaks that point to who it might be. However, nobody really knows for sure, and there are a lot of fun rumors about who it could be. So today I wanted to talk about that. Now, confirmed so far, we already have Shang Tsung and Nightwolf who are out, and we have Sindel who's also on the way. And the final two characters are confirmed to be guest characters, and one of them got leaked almost immediately, and that was Ash Williams, a very popular character from the Evil Dead series. And this character honestly would be a really good fit for Mortal Kombat 11. Not just because he's violent and brutal, but he's also a bit campy as well, a bit comedic. There's some slapstick to all the violence and gore in his films, so he fits in very well. However, the funny thing is, the actor himself has actually deconfirmed multiple times and said he won't be in Mortal Kombat 11. Now, if you ask me, that could just be damage control, or it could just be Ed Boon loving to troll us, which he does love to do, and he's a bit salty because he can't troll as much since the leak did happen. And like I said in a past video, I'm not in support of these leaks, but I do find it funny how Ed Boon is still trying to troll us, even though we already know he's still trying to do it, still trying to pull one over on us, trying to get the wool over our eyes, and a lot of people think that Ash might not be in the game, and that is possible. So if it's not Ash Williams, who do we hear revving the chainsaw? Let's talk about that next. So the first alternative option is Leatherface. A lot of people love this character in Mortal Kombat X, and even though I wasn't a very big fan of his character in the horror films, I do recognize that he was a very powerful character. In fact, he might have been a bit overpowered when he first came out initially. The guy had a command run, an unblockable, crazy damaging combos, and in the corner they even got crazier. The guy was really good. He even had a zoning variation, which was also very good, but just not the preferred one by most players because the other two were just so darn good that you had no reason to ever use that zoning variation. But rest assured, it was still a very good variation. Nothing he had was really bad. But then again, pretty much every DLC character in Mortal Kombat X was infamous for being very, very good, except for Predator, who came out being a little bit weaker, but then got some buffs and yes, became one of the overpowered characters as well. So if Leatherface did come back to Mortal Kombat 11, I bet he'd be very, very strong. Now here's the problem, and I don't want to disappoint people, but Ed Boon and NetherRealm did say there won't be any repeat DLC characters. So that means characters like Leatherface are pretty much out, right off the bat. Now, they could be lying to us or simply have forgotten they said this, but I'm going to go ahead and hold them to their word and assume that Leatherface won't be in the game. And sadly, this also rules out characters like Rain as well, who I desperately wanted to be on the base roster, and he just didn't end up being there because Cetrion pretty much ruled out every elemental character, right? She had earthbending, so no Tremor, and she had water manipulation, so no Rain. Cetrion is very greedy being an Elder God with all these different elemental powers. The only person she couldn't deconfirm is Scorpion because he has fire, and he's always going to be in Mortal Kombat games from here on out. And honestly, even if NetherRealm hadn't said there wouldn't be any repeat characters, I just don't see them doing two guest characters twice in a row. That's honestly very rare for most video games, especially fighting games, though Dead or Alive 6 actually did it because they have Mai Shiranui once again, who was previously in Dead or Alive 5, but that's one of the rare exceptions and not the rule. So the next candidate for our possible chainsaw wielder would be a Gears of War character. That would make a lot of sense. They had the gun with the chainsaw attached to it. However, here's the problem. Those characters are console exclusive. And while there are some fighting games that handle console exclusive like Killer Instinct, keep in mind that game itself is also console exclusive. So that's why a game like Killer Instinct does have console exclusive characters like the Arbiter and so on, because they're an Xbox owned game, so they're going to have Microsoft owned characters. However, Mortal Kombat is all encompassing. It's on every platform, even the Switch. So I really don't think they're going to have any exclusive characters like Gears of War. So the next likely character, and my personal favorite, is Doom Guy. Doom Guy fits the best outside of Ash Williams. He is violent, he is brutal, and most importantly of all, it's okay to rip him apart as well because he dies violently in his own video games. So seeing Doom Guy get his head torn off or his spine shoved up his butthole, that makes perfect sense because it already happens in his own games. Maybe not in that exact manner, but he does die in some very brutal and embarrassing ways. Now the thing is, Doom Guy himself doesn't actually talk very much, and that could be okay because we already had some mute characters in Mortal Kombat X. In fact, we had several. We had Jason right away, and Doom Guy would most likely be like him. He would stare very menacingly at the opponent and not say a word. But we also had Alien, who screamed at the opponent, which I don't think Doomguy is going to do, and we had Predator, who roared at the opponent. And while I do think Doomguy has the capacity to roar because he's so darn manly, I just don't see him doing it in Mortal Kombat 11 if he did make it in. Once again, him being a basically mute character doesn't mean he won't be on the roster. I'm just saying it would make things a little bit awkward because he'd have nothing but dead air, but even so, past characters have done just that, and they still turned out pretty cool. However, I do still have one big issue with Doomguy. I don't want any more guns in Mortal Kombat. I seriously don't. I simply prefer the martial arts aspect of it, the close quarter weapons. I'm okay with swords and spears, all that stuff, nunchucks. Those are close quarter combat. But I don't want any more guns. If you're gonna have projectiles, create them yourself. Don't just fire them from your boomstick. Stop it. Stop it. There's too many gun characters in this game already. I don't want any more. I also don't really want any more zoners outside of Sindel because she's my queen, alright? She's my queen. I don't care, she is the exception. She can have projectiles. She's always been somewhat of a zoner, but she also had fun combos and crazy pressure. So if she has zoning, that's okay, but no more gun characters, please. I don't want any more gun characters. I know Ash Williams is most likely gonna have a gun of some kind, but hopefully it's more like Jax's Thumper, where it's a nice alternative when the opponent keeps running away, but it's not your go-to strategy and your go-to weapon. Hopefully not. The last thing anybody needs is another full auto Jackie, okay? I still have PTSD from how she played in Mortal Kombat X. That zoning will never be forgotten. So now on to the next fan theory. So some people have an interesting idea of who it could be, and that character is Cyrax. Now it does say 2 guest characters, so already things seem pretty slim for Cyrax. However, he does have some weapons that do sound very similar to a chainsaw, so I understand some fans' line of thinking when they consider Cyrax as an option. However, I just don't see it happening because he's not a guest character, and he's also already been a DLC character technically for Mortal Kombat X. Even though it was Triborg, he did have Cyrax as one of the options. So technically Cyrax has been DLC already, and once again NetherRealm did say no more repeat DLCs. So I don't think Cyrax seems very likely. Even though I do love him, I think it's honestly for the best because I don't want Cyrax without Sector. The two go together like peanut butter and chocolate. I don't want to see them separated. However, there is still one more final possibility that no one's really talking about. Remember, Ed Boon does love to troll people. So what if it's an entirely different character who just happens to be holding a chainsaw and then tosses it off screen? It's not even related to their character, they're just trying to throw you off and make you think it's somebody else. For example, imagine Takeda coming in with a chainsaw and just tossing it off screen. How hype would that be? I love Takeda, I think he's the best of the combat kids, and I think him being left out is a huge wasted opportunity. Or what about a different character like Pennywise? He comes in disguised as Leatherface and then chucks the chainsaw away and reveals himself to be the evil clown we all fear. How exciting would that be? I certainly don't put something like that past Ed Boon. I think he might do it. And NetherRealm themselves also love to troll fans like that, and I think it would get people pretty darn hype. It would be a pretty bold move. A lot of people would be very excited, and a lot of people would also be disappointed. It would be a little bit controversial, so maybe not the best move, but my goodness, that would be a very bold strategy. And that's about it for the possible chainsaw characters and all those different wild theories. So next up, let's talk about the second guest character. Now this one has been all but confirmed to be a Terminator character, mainly due to that iconic theme that we hear in the reveal trailer. However, one thing that's still very unclear is which character it will be from the Terminator series. Now the most obvious choice is the endoskeleton. That's everyone's go-to that we see at the start of Judgment Day. That's the most obvious one. However, a lot of fans in my own videos have said they'd prefer Arnold Schwarzenegger, simply because he does bring so much personality to the character, and let's be honest, before Terminator 2, the series wasn't nearly as big, and I honestly do agree that Arnold Schwarzenegger would have much better dialogue options than the simple endoskeleton would. However, the T-1000 would most likely be the coolest in terms of gameplay, since that guy can morph into pretty much anything and even transform his body into actual weapons. So that guy would definitely be the coolest one to watch in motion. However, his intro dialogues wouldn't be as cool, and once again, he's not quite as iconic as Arnold Schwarzenegger or even the simple but humble endoskeleton. And keep in mind, this character could also be a Terminator from the newest film, because obviously that is what this whole thing is about. The reason Terminator is going to appear in Mortal Kombat 11 is to make you want to watch that film and buy some tickets. So it would make a lot of sense for the Terminator to be the newest one in the newest movie. However, at the same time, I think that would disappoint a ton of fans who just want to see Arnold Schwarzenegger or even the endoskeleton. Now, of course, there is a possibility that one of each will actually be in the game, or at least several, since we do have different skin options for every character. And let's be real, the endoskeleton is almost guaranteed to be in the game. He's a shoo-in. It's simply too iconic of a look to not include in the game. And I think the same does go for Arnold Schwarzenegger. Maybe not the T-1000, and maybe not the newest Terminator, but I do think Arnold Schwarzenegger and the endoskeleton are very, very likely, unless Arnold Schwarzenegger just doesn't want to be in the game, in which case it's a bust, and you can't have anybody else voice that character. And that's honestly about it for my thoughts on these 2 remaining guest characters and who they could possibly be. So please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I can't wait to read them. And then while you're down there, please leave a like if you enjoyed the video. It really does help my channel out a ton. And finally, why not keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell? That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.